Well, tensions have been flaring between a number of global apparel retailers and manufacturers and China after these various companies have criticized what they say is China's record of human rights abuses in the western part of its nation against the Uyghur Muslim minority. Chinese officials are now striking back, saying that these allegations are untrue and that they will not be accepting products from some of these companies. As just an example, H&M is one of the companies that has spoken out saying it will not source products with cotton that is produced in that region. It's a big cotton producing region. And a number of those H&M stores have been closed in China, at least 6 of them in sort of second tier cities around the country. Brian Sozzi, I know you've been tracking this story as well. Nike, Adidas have also spoken out here, Hugo Boss. And it seems like, the consequences of this, they could in some cases see a hit to sales.
Potentially, Julie, but this is, you mentioned H&M. This is now what appears to be week 2 of this now steamrolling for a company like H&M. Seeing reports out this morning that some landlords that H&M rent stores from, these landlords, the landlords are now closing stores, H&M stores, because of H&M's reported comments on these matters here, which really goes down to Xinjiang, a key cotton producing area for the apparel industry. So many landlords look like they are closing H&M stores in China. Not all of them, some of them worth noting here. H&M has 520 stores in China. China accounts for about 5.5% of H&M's overall sales, 4th largest market for the company. But Julie, the bigger question here is, does this impact the longer-term outlook for not only H&M, for even a company like a Nike? Nike has been building aggressively over the past decade in China, not just from its manufacturing footprint. About 22% of its footwear is in fact made in China. 23% of its apparel is in fact made in China. But they also rack up huge sales of sneakers and footwear in the country. In its most recent quarter, they just reported sales in China up 42%, operating profits up 75%. Those were the best performances out of any of Nike's regions in the most recent quarter. In fiscal year 2020, that was last year for them, $7 billion in sales. So the China business is critical to the growth story that is a Nike and so many other U.S. companies, U.S. consumer companies that do business in the country. But at least right now, investors are shrugging this off as it pertains to a Nike. Stocks up about 0.5% the past week.
Yeah, 2 things to note about Nike that are interesting in all of this. First of all, the company doesn't source cotton from Xinjiang. The company has said this, and so it's interesting that it's making this statement on the region, even though it doesn't actually source cotton from there. The second thing is, I saw a report this morning that Huawei had suspended downloads of Nike and Adidas apps, given what is going on, but that there had been a surge in orders on certain Nike products ahead of that suspension or related to that suspension. So we'll see how this continues to play out. But it's definitely an example, Brian, and you've tracked this a lot because it has to do with consumer goods, but a lot of consumer brands that have spoken out increasingly on various political issues, whether it's here in the U.S. or globally.
Right, and it could come at the detriment of their business. Now, thus far, we have not seen any Wall Street downgrades of these China-heavy stocks. We've not seen any profit estimate revisions. I still think the Street is going to need a quarter from the likes of a Nike, an H&M, even a Hugo Boss, these companies that operate in China. They're going to need to see that this is starting to impact the bottom line. Thus far, not yet. So I think the Street is taking a wait-and-see approach. That's why you're not seeing a lot of these stocks absolutely crushed.
Well, we'll take a wait-and-see approach then as well and continue to monitor this situation.